Oculi Mortis, good to see you, my friend. I'm glad that you joined us. It's always a pleasure to see you, Oculi. People, what a day. Today has been a bizarre day, but I'll bring you into to all that a little bit later. But it was really an odd one. I'll tell you what, it really was. I just jumbled the tripod. So we're using some different equipment. So if you guys could let me know that I sound and look okay, that would be greatly appreciated. We're as you probably saw in the last video, I'm using something a little bit different, and I don't know. I think we're getting a better quality. I don't know. We're going to find out. But Flannick Jackson, good to see you, my brother. I'm glad that you made it. People, if you do not get on the live feed, the sound sounds muffled. Does everyone else hear that? Does it sound muffled? Okay, people. Wait, what? Yeah, Oculi, you got jokes. Oculi is great. Sorry. We just switched that to a different video. Quality is great. Good. Glad to hear that, Flamin' Jackson. Hopefully the sound quality is now good as well. And let me see who we got here today. Charlie Mullins. Hello, my brother. Keith from Pepper Patch. Good to see you, Keith. We've got Lady Fiona Crispin. Good to see you. Deja. It sounds a bit muffled on your end. I'm hoping that is an old comment and that I don't currently sound muffled on your end. Sound is a bit muffled. I just saw one that said audio is great. So hopefully that the new audio, the adjust of the audio is good. People, so I've muffled still, a bit muffled still. Well, I'm afraid, folks, that this is what it's going to be. So hopefully it's not too bad. Hello, Katie Moyer. Good to have you here. People, if you've been paying attention, and you guys are usually pretty up on things like this, if you've been paying attention, we are in a growth spurt here at the Lifeboat. The number of people coming on to the crew is growing pretty quickly. It's been, you sort of go along and you just keep plugging. But Saigon Cinema says, not great, but I can hear you. Okay, well, we're going to have to work on this. When the feed started, you were already talking. I was like, what did I miss? Oh, I see. No, we're good. We're good. Excellent, Oculi. Yeah, we're still working on the audio, people. We're going to get all of this sort of evened out. But as I was saying, we, you chug along and you continue to put up content. And here at the Lifeboat, we put up a lot of content. So, sorry, the sound isn't the best. I'm sorry, people. This is the best we're going to be able to do today on the sound. I apologize. Chili Chinglish. Oh, man. Mr. Chinglish, it is a pleasure to have you here. I'm a huge fan of your work. I really am. I'm a huge fan of your work. If you guys haven't ever seen Chili's channel, he does some amazing stuff over there. Really positive guy. He's cut from the same cloth. He's a very, very positive individual. Jack! People, Jack is back, is in the house. So as I was saying, it's my best friend Jack. If you guys don't know who Jack is, then you probably are tuning in for the first time. Jack is my longest standing friend that will still talk to me. Jack is he's my best friend on the planet. Good to have you here, Jack. So you put up a lot of content, and we do crank out a lot of content here at the Lifeboat. So you just sort of continually, put stuff up, and then there doesn't seem to be rhyme or reason sometimes. Like, you do video after video, and you sort of hover at the same number for a couple of weeks, and then, you get 100 subscribers in 2 days. And it just, the way that things go, it's Stefano, good to see you, my brother. Stefano does some great work for the channel. Really talented kid from Australia. He's a young man, but from Australia. Good guy. But so we're in that growth spurt right now. The number of people that are coming on and the speed at which it's coming on, I can't even give you a number, because every time I spit one out, I'm 5 behind. But the last I looked, we were just under 1510, I think. We're probably a little above that now. But it's been, it's a growth spurt, people. It's awesome. There's nothing better than that, because it's the mission of what we do here is really contingent on having the largest crew possible. It's not about my ego. It's not about trying to be the world's biggest YouTuber. I could, the people who know me, I could care less. What it really is about, though, is trying to bring a message of sobriety and of living a better life to as many people as possible. And the bigger the crew gets, the more successful we are doing that. I think that what's driving this right now is the fact that we really are focused very strongly on the crew. The goodbye letters to drugs that we've been doing have been having just an unbelievable effect in terms of the channel, the sort of the complexion of the channel. And Oculi says, I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't do that to you. I don't think you would, Oculi, although you do have a pretty good sense of humor. So we've ribbed each other back and forth a few times. But yeah, we're sort of changing the complexion of the boat a little bit. And this was the design from the very beginning, but it's difficult to highlight the crew and their stories until you have a crew that you can, that you can start bringing these stories out. And once we started to rack up some numbers, it then became a question of getting these individuals to start to write these letters, and they're flowing in now, people. Those of you who have seen the goodbye letters, they are absolutely fantastic. If you haven't, there's a playlist called Goodbye Letters, right? The goodbye letters to drugs or habits in some cases. But please pop in and check those out, because it really is, it's sort of the changing face of the lifeboat. This week coming up, as in tomorrow, we were going to start doing our side-by-side interviews with people from the crew. And what that is going to do is absolute miscommunication. I apologize, Oculi. You're a good man. Hopefully that shield is healing too. 2 wheels or 4, Oculi. 2 wheels or 4. Joe Beardwell, good to see you, Joe. Still going strong. People, the number of crew members that you're seeing pop on here every day and talk about their sobriety dates. There's nothing more exciting in the world than someone who does what we do here, than people who talk about their sobriety dates. The coolest thing is, so many of these sobriety dates coincide with how long the lifeboat has been on the air. The first one that really sort of jumped out to everybody was Andrew Eats. Andrew saw the first couple of videos. He didn't see it the day it went live. He saw it about 3 days later, 4 days later. So his sobriety date is 4 days different than the age of the boat. But since then, people have been, starting to quit. They've been listening. We have a great number of people that tune in every single day who are still in the life. Unlike a lot of people that do what we do, we don't have a problem with that. We're not here to badmouth people who are doing drugs. In fact, as crazy as it sounds, we're not really here to badmouth drugs. What we're here to do is to try to address addiction, because that's really what is destroying lives. I know that people say, drugs are destroying lives. Like, if you don't do cocaine, it doesn't really matter how much of it's out there, right? It's not something that is really working you over unless you are in the life. So our focus has been, and our focus will always be, to combat addiction. However, if you're in the life and you're addicted and you're not ready to quit, we're not here to tell you you're a loser. We'll leave that to society. That's what they do. We're here to tell you that we love you. There's not an addict on this planet that I don't feel for and love. What really makes this channel unique is that we're not judgmental in any way. We're not. If you come in here and you say, hey, I've drawn a line in the sand, today is the day that I quit, well, then we're going to rally behind you. We're going to do everything we can to help you. But if you come back 3 days later and tell us that you relapsed, we're not going to call you a dirtbag. We're not going to tell you you're a failure. Again, we're going to leave that to society. We're going to say, hey, get up, dust yourself off, and try again, and we're going to be here for you. The key to life, right, is that you can get knocked down 8 times, but the key is you get up 9. Tommy, when are you going to do the Jack interview? This week, my friend. This week, Jack is going to be on the channel. See how I did that? I just put it out there, and now Jack has to do it because he was here when I said it. Sort of putting your best friend on the spot. So Jack will be doing an interview this week on the channel. So we have 7 days to get that put together. I am really hoping that that is not an interview that we do in split screen side by side. If we have to do the first one that way, we will. But really what I'm hoping for is to get Jack here, and the two of us will sit in the room. I have talked about it before. We're going to do a segment with Jack and I that is just stories from the past, because Jack can tell stories that you've already heard from a perspective other than me, right? You know, when I tell the story, when anybody tells a story, they tell it from their point of view. I think it's going to be something that will be very interesting to hear it from Jack's point of view. Leisure 7772. We are so happy that you made it in here. I saw you over on the live stream on Wages World. Fantastic. I'm so happy that you're here. So as I was saying in the beginning, people, and I'm like Mark, you see the squirrel and it just sort of takes me in different directions. But this, as I was saying in the beginning, we're growing now at a pretty good clip. You know, some really exciting things are happening. Because of that, it gets really easy to, you know, there's so many of us that we all know each other so well that you all know the story. You know everything about the story. You know the private jokes. You know everything. And sometimes that shoves new people sort of to the back. And that's something that I really want to avoid. I see it happening day in and day out on YouTube channels, where if you were lucky enough to be there in the beginning, you're kind of you know, part of the early bird club. You know, then this is your channel, and everyone else who shows up is, you know, just sort of you know, they're left out in the cold. That doesn't work with this model because of what we're doing here. You know, hopefully from time to time I'm entertaining, but that is not the purpose of this channel. The purpose of this channel is pretty cut and dry. We're trying to help people get sober, and we're trying to help people live their best lives. Not white knuckle sobriety where you just give up the drugs, but where you really transform your life into something that's productive. And we're having some success, right? We're having a pretty decent amount of success. So I want to make sure that we don't shove all of the new people coming onto the boat to the back. Now, you people have been fantastic about welcoming people and, you know, making sure that they feel like they're part of the crew. It's a daunting task to go back and watch the 100 and, I don't know, 30, I guess we're up to, or 140. I don't know how many videos there are. There's a ton of them, people. We put out a lot of content, and over time that might slow down a little bit as we start to really sort of take shape as a channel. There may be, you know, we may get to the Vegemite monkey. We may get to a point where we're not putting up, you know, 3 videos a day. That may get to the point where that's no longer in everybody's best interest. However, I don't see a time where we're not putting up 2 always. And the complexion of this channel is really pushed to live, right? That is not something that I planned from the word go, but it absolutely has transformed into something that the crew is demanding, that this channel spends far more time live than it does, you know, doing just straight videos. And the reason for that is pretty logical because of how close-knit this group of people have become. And you have to, if you're going to support people in, you know, in their fighting the good fight against addiction, then you really have to create bonds that are different than you're going to find at other channels. So how do you do that? Alan Valentine, good to see you, my brother. How do you set that up? And that's the challenge. The live feed is really conducive to exactly that, because you have an opportunity. You know, as I'm talking to you right now, everybody is in the comment section, and it is very much like a chat room, like we've said before. And there are people in the chat room right now where if I were to say to Deja, or if I were to say to Saigon, or if I were to say to Fiona, or anybody else, Brandon. Good to see you, my friend. Brandon is another one fighting the good fight. He's got getting time under his belt, and every day is just getting better. Good for you, Brandon. So, you know, the challenge becomes how do you keep those relationships building? Well, with all of the new people we've got coming on, trying to send them back to watch 130 videos is, you know, not only is it daunting, it might scare some people away. It's not something that I want. So today, in spite of the fact that most of you have probably heard a decent amount of this, I'll try to make sure that the video quality is much better. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Just saw that on the screen. I'm going to try to make sure that it doesn't sound the same. The facts can't be changed, people, but the way that I present them can. I would like to give everybody a brief history of this channel. We spend a lot of time talking about the dream, right? The dream of the lifeboat. And I would like to take some people who are new to this channel back through that process so that you get an idea of how we wound up where we are right now, because I think that that's relevant. And I don't want to force you back to have to watch 100 videos and go through all of those different things. This will give you a pretty good idea of the history of the lifeboat up to today. People, I have been addicted to drugs for the most part my entire adult life. And when I say adult life, I really mean starting as a teenager. I started abusing drugs, and by the age of, say, 19, I was in deep trouble, right? At first, it was just like so many other people. I smoked pot, I drank some beers, but I started smoking pot at about 13 or 14, and by the time I hit 17, I was voracious to try anything that could alter your mind. And I think after marijuana, the second thing was hash, and then the third thing was LSD, and trying acid, for your sort of the entree into the harder, or not the harder, but the more severe drugs, sort of opened me up, and went from there to mushrooms, and then the pills started. And people, I skied competitively, and I did it at a level that I'm not bragging, but I was a very, very good skier, and the type of skiing that I did was moguls and freestyle, and the number of injuries associated with that. Kiss Freak, good to see you, my friend. The number of injuries associated with that type of skiing is astounding, and there was not a season that went by that I didn't end up with, bumps, bruises, things along those lines, and they started getting, more severe. Casual preparedness, good to see you. Welcome to the lifeboat, my friend. And what happened is you start taking things like Loratab, for pain management, for to knock out the pain. And before to get too much further, I'm not a person that badmouths pain meds. They are essential. In fact, as far as medications on the planet go, it's probably the most, honestly, one of the most, impactful drugs out there. If you break your leg, people, try aspirin and see how that works for you. These drugs are a necessity. There's a reason we have opiate receptors in our brain, and it's because there are times on this planet where you have to be able to make pain go away, to really survive. And so if you're taking medications for that reason, that's great. But like so many other people, as the pain started to go away, and I continued to take the same amount of medicine, if you think about it in terms of like, little, the pain meds being these little destroyers that go out and find pain and destroy them. Well, if there's no physical pain to find, then they course through the body looking for something else to do. And what they do is they kill spiritual pain, they kill emotional pain, and they relax you, they give you more confidence, and they change a lot about what goes on in your brain. And that really was the beginning of the end for me. I became hopelessly addicted to pain medication in my 20s, and the things that I did to keep that going was astounding. And by the time I was into my 30s, the things that I did to keep the habit going got really off the tracks. In the beginning, I had a career. I did some infomercial stuff. I was the president of a publicly traded company. I worked as a public speaker, and I made good money. And I mean, all of that money went into buying pain medication. And at one point, I met someone who said to me, if you just smoked opium, the amount of money that you save buying those stupid pills, and it's going to be a lot easier on your liver. And, from a guy that had done a lot of drugs, opium was not something that, where do you find your local opium dealer? Well, the truth of the matter is, people, it's a marketing technique for heroin. I'm not even being funny. Very oftentimes with tar heroin, since most people have seen movies and assume that heroin is a white powder like we've always seen it in films, I was unaware that heroin was available in a black, gummy kind of a situation. It looked really a lot more like hash. So I started smoking this stuff on tin foil, and I probably smoked it for, I don't know, a couple of months without missing a day. So the fact that I was addicted was not something I even knew, because every single day I did it. And I had plenty of money. So I was buying it in large enough quantities where I, just didn't run out. And then one day the guy that was selling me the stuff didn't show up. I would assume he got busted, but he didn't show up. The following day I got a phone call and here's our new phone number, blah, 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 blah. I got withdrawal sickness, and I honestly thought I just got sick. It was that level of ignorance. I just thought, wow, I'm getting sick. I went out, I got more stuff, and the relief that I got smoking it, it was like the light bulb went on, and I thought, oh Lord, I'm addicted to this. Fast forward, say 5 or 6 years, and I was working at charity at the time, and we were going all over the world helping to feed homeless kids. It was a great mission, and we worked with Muhammad Ali and Celine Dion and Deion Sanders and Emmett Smith and all these famous people, and it was awesome. Meeting these people. I got to meet Muhammad Ali. It was a very exciting time in my life. But before going on stage to speak, I was caught sticking a brown filled syringe behind my knee. And the person that caught me was a high up in the company. So what the hell are you doing? I said, insulin? And he said, brown insulin behind your knee? So he fired me on the spot. Actually, he talked about firing me on the spot because he said, as soon as you finish this show you're about to do, you're fired. And I was going out to speak to about 4,000 people. Well, most people in the world are terrified of public speaking. So I said to the guy, I think I'll just quit now, and you can go out and do this show. Being the degenerate that I am, I basically worked them for more money to allow me to go and do one more show. But it was more than getting fired. I got blackballed, and I couldn't work anywhere in the industry. And the crazy thing, people, is during that period of time, the birth of this idea was happening. I was taking notes. I was spending money. I was doing things because I wanted to create a different approach for people to get off drugs. The insane thing was I was doing 6 grams of heroin a day while I was doing this. But that was really the birth, and we're talking decades ago. And every time I would start working toward it, I would be in rehab or I was in a methadone clinic or whatever, and I'd be working toward it, and there would be a relapse, and I would put this on the back shelf. And that continued to happen until I was convicted for a bank robbery. Amazingly, I was convicted for a bank robbery I didn't do. And if Jack was, I don't know if Jack is still here, Jack can back that up. I didn't rob that bank. I'm telling you the truth. I cop to all of the things that I've done in my life. The bank I was convicted of robbing, I never robbed. I'm not going to say I haven't gone into banks and withdrew money without an account. That has happened. I have robbed banks. But the one that I went to prison for, I most assuredly did not rob. And but what happened is I found myself in prison, and believe it or not, people, that didn't even get me sober. In spite of the fact that I had lost my freedom and got incarcerated, I met a really beautiful woman who I married. She was my attorney. And when I got out, I fell back into the life. And I remember Jack coming and seeing me, and I had guns, and he said to me, what the hell are you doing with guns? Like Jack was the voice of reason. At the time, he was still using, but he was the voice of reason. And he said, you got to get rid of these. You're going to go back to prison. And I said, it's over. I'm already going back to prison. I already knew. I guess when you're a criminal or you've been in the life so long, you just come to that conclusion. But I said, no, I'm going back to prison. When I did, I lost my wife. I got stabbed. And the day I got stabbed, the following day, while I was in solitary confinement, recovering from multiple stab wounds to my abdomen, I had to be life flighted off of that yard. But what happened is, all of a sudden, the following morning, I got the Dear Tommy letter from my wife that said, I want a divorce. And you talk about rock bottom. But I had 28 days in a cell alone. And this is in a lockdown unit, so you don't get out ever. You're literally 28 days locked in a closet with a sink and a toilet and a bunk bed, just the smallest room you've ever seen. And I began talking to God at length, and I couldn't wrestle with the fact. All of a sudden, I had been doing dope on the yard every day. Well, now I'm in here, and I'm forced to go through withdrawals and everything else because where I'm at, obviously, if you're alone and no one can get to you, you can't get drugs. And there I was trying to, I'm trying to get some kind of meaning in life as all of this is going on, and I'm wrestling with the guilt of how much of my life that I've thrown away. And the dream of this came back to me, and it wasn't for a channel, people, because when I started putting this together, YouTube was not a thing. I know that the youngsters that our crew members probably have a hard time believing there was a time before the internet, but When I started putting this together, the internet really was not in full swing. It was the 90s, and yeah, there were people online, but I believe, I did an internet business. As that 8% of America, was online when I came up with this dream. And as I was in prison, I got rid of everything in my life. I stopped watching television. I stopped doing anything that wasn't centered on rehabilitation. And I met a gentleman by the name of Q. At least that's what we call him, because his name would be so difficult to try to pronounce. But we went with Q. And that's right, Al Gore had not yet invented the internet. Well done, Seventh Son. This was prior to Al Gore's, ding, light bulb going off. So what happened is, at that point, Q came in, and he was he practiced a form of tough love. He came up and he said, "I would like to help you get sober." And I said, "What are you talking about? I've been sober for 30 days." And he said, "No, you've been off drugs for 30 days. You're not sober." And he got me a job at a place called Unicor. He was a black gentleman, and black guys and white guys can't hang out in a federal prison system. It doesn't work that way. But he got me a job where the two of us could work side by side and no one would look crooked at us. And he worked every single day with me, nonstop. And all we discussed was sobriety. And he said to me, "I got a lot of books on this subject matter." And I said, "Well, I've read a lot of books on sobriety." He's like, "Well, you need to read these." And he dropped off probably 50 books on sobriety. And I got to trying to read one a day. And I was just busting through these things and taking notes and filling composition notebooks, full of notes. There were literally, this was when I was just in prison, and there were dozens of them. And I went back to Q quite proud and said, "Hey, I went through all of them. I'm done." And he said, "You're done with what?" I said, "All of the reading you asked me to do." He said, "It's not all the reading I asked you to do, but if I gave you more than that, the guards would confiscate him." And he proceeded to come down to my cell and drop off about another 50 more. And we just became inseparable. And I told him what my dream had been in the past about, wanting to set up something that is a different approach to getting sober, because I had been through all of the other methods. I had gone to rehab, I had done inpatient, I had done outpatient, I had gone to groups, and nothing worked. In fact, most of them turned me off. And the 12-step programs, although it's a great concept, they became very, very watered down. And the reason they did is because the court system in the United States sends everybody who does anything wrong having to do with a substance or alcohol, they mandate you to go to these. You must do 30 meetings in 30 days. You must do 90 meetings in 90 days. So when you walk in the room, a room that used to be filled with people like the lifeboat is now, people that want to change their lives. As opposed to that, what you ended up with is a room full of people that don't want to be there. They're there to get a piece of paper signed to make the judge happy. Well, that's not how 12-step programs work. It works because you want to be there. So I had been turned off by 12-step programs. I was turned off by a lot of this. And Q said, "Well, then, make up your own." And I said, "Well, at the 12 steps, they tell you can't do that." He goes, "Well, you just said you don't believe in the 12 steps." He's like, "If you don't believe in it, make up your own." And that's what, it sounds like the captain's mouth is swollen. No, I think I'm good. Yeah, I don't know if it's the people. I'll work on the sound. I got a microphone hooked up. It's obviously not doing the job, but we'll work on that. But that was the birth of what was to become the lifeboat. So as I got out of prison, I'm in a family of people who had a fairly big presence on YouTube. But for a much different reason. And the world was waiting for me to do a channel. Seriously, about 105,000 people who follow my brother were hoping that I was going to come out and do a channel very similar to what my brother does. And that wasn't for me. This is my passion, and this is what I wanted to do. I didn't realize when I was walking back and forth in a prison cell and taking notes and going through all of these, different exercises of what I was going to do and how this program was going to be set up. I had no clue whatsoever that it was going to be a YouTube channel. But this format that we're doing right here is so conducive to what we're trying to accomplish that my dream, for lack of a better way to put it, got hijacked by the people who first got onto the boat. When this channel first got up and running, it was called the Tommy Scoville Show. And I hated that. I said that in the first video. I did not want to call, my channel the Tommy Scoville Show. But until a name jumped out at me, I wasn't going to come up with something that didn't make sense. So I put my name in there sort of as a stopgap. And along the way, and as I started to work through all of the videos, there was a recurring theme that came up again and again and again. And that theme is that we're all in the same boat. And the reason I say that, people, is addictions really have two very unique and distinguishing things about them. One is going to be unique to your particular affliction. So if you're an alcoholic, the first component is going to be alcohol, what alcohol does to your brain, all of those different things. The second of those components is that our brain, the reward center of our brain, starts to reward the addicted mind for doing things that not only are not healthy, but literally threaten the organism, right? Your brain is going to start releasing feel-good chemicals for you doing the wrong thing. Those chemicals are usually in reserve for happy moments, moments of accomplishment when you're doing something that's going to make your life better. For the addict, it does the exact opposite. You go and you buy alcohol, even knowing it's going to kill you, and you crack that first one, and before you take a sip, you feel better because your brain's already rewarding you for doing something wrong. That is the second component of addiction. And what that meant, people, is that it doesn't matter whether you're on alcohol or cocaine or cannabis or anything that you have become addicted to, video games, pornography, gambling, whatever your addiction is, get rid of the first component, concentrate on the second component, and a funny thing happens. We're all in the same boat. And I just kept saying it over and over again. And somebody had made a comment that, we should call this place the boat. Within the next couple of weeks, we actually put it to a vote in terms of naming the boat. And the funny part was that we had like 6 or 7 different names. And as I was rolling them out, I said, I made a reference to the lifeboat, an abbreviation because of Mr. L.B. Loxley had, put forward one of the suggestions. And I said, LB actually stands for lifeboat. And somebody popped up and said, boy, lifeboat would be the perfect name for this channel. That's sort of the history of how we arrived at where we are today. And then since then, some other unusual things have happened. I have made no apologies from the word go that we wanted to absolutely work hard to get YouTube as a partner. Not because we want to get rich or because we want to be the world's biggest YouTuber, but we want YouTube to have a vested interest to push us out to the world. The more that YouTube cares about you, the more that YouTube can make money on you, the more that they're going to push your channel onto other people's feeds. Excuse me, people. Last night on the live feed, I mentioned a statistic that 48% of people in America say that they're either addicted to drugs or someone in their immediate family, mom, dad, sister, brother, right? Immediate family is addicted to drugs. 48%, 1 out of every 2. So the more we push this onto people's feeds, the more people we're going to affect. And the goal of this channel is quite simply to put addicts into a different light. Society is determined we are worthless. Society is determined you're not worth caring about. You want the proof of that, people? I've used this illustration and I will use it every day until I am no longer on this channel and they close the box on me. We're losing 190 people a day to drug overdoses in this country. Just in America, 190 people a day on average. Take 2 days in a row, that's more people than would be on a 747 aircraft. If an aircraft crashed in this country every other day, they would shut down air travel. Every penny in the government would go to figure out what was going on because they would never let that happen to 360 people every other day. There's no chance, right? They don't care if those people happen to be drug addicts. They don't care. In fact, their philosophy is quite simple. Lock them up and throw away the key. Don't treat it as a disease. Treat it as a crime. So, we at the Lifeboat want to give a safe haven for people to come and be able to talk about their problems with addiction without people looking down their nose at them. No one here is ever going to judge you for the things that you've done in the drug world. ever. If you're still using drugs, we're not going to judge you. We don't do it. It's our policy. It's our mantra. And there's a reason. Why? Because we're all in the same boat. It has been proven that if you have a support system in place, your odds of getting sober are so much better. It really is, and there's no getting around that. So, oftentimes, if you have family support, you're in great shape, right? But most people don't. So, one of the other things that we really believe here on the Lifeboat is quite simple. They say you can't choose your family. We say yes, you can, and we choose our family within the structure of this channel. And you have support from brothers and sisters that really want to see you get sober. And people, it's not a pipe dream. It's working. It's working every day. Every day people are coming to this channel and quitting the substances they're on, and they're successfully getting sober. Last night, if you were on the live feed, I talked about Rat Park. For those of you of a specific age, you remember the old commercials of the rat hitting the feeder bar of cocaine until it fell over and died. Well, another man did an experiment, set it up the exact same way, but in the cage next to it, he built what he called Rat Park, and he made it perfect for the rodent. It had small colored balls of all different colors. It had puzzles. It had wheels. It had tunnels. It had female and male companionship. It had great food. And a funny thing happened. Not only did none of them overdose, none, but very few had any problem with the substance. So it gets you wondering if what we really are suffering from when we're addicts is a lack of connection, right? We're not connected to enough things. Mark Wages said something genius when I was doing the interview with him. He said, if you have all of these memories in your life and all of these events in your life that you're ashamed of and that you're guilty for and all of these things, you need to go out and create new memories. And I'll take it a step farther. You have to create new contacts, because every point of contact that you've got that has nothing to do with drugs is making sure that you have a much better chance to continue down the road of sobriety. That is just the truth, people. That's what we're looking at. So here on the Lifeboat, we are striving on a daily basis, and succeeding, I might add, in trying to build those connections, trying to put together not only people, right, but also a mission. Yeah, we have the people, that we're becoming connected to. But aside from that, there's this larger mission of people that want to give back, people who want to support the people around them. Got a great email from somebody yesterday that said, thank you so much for doing live feeds at 9 o'clock, because that's when I use. He said, since you've been doing the live feeds every night at 9, instead of going and doing what I do, I get on and I watch your live feed. And then he went on to tell the truth. He said, and I'll be honest, I don't always watch it, but the connections with the people in the comment section, it makes me think about doing the right thing for an hour, and that's enough. It's a phenomenon. It really is. What we're doing here, people, it is the most basic of human desire, right? We're loving one another. We're caring about one another. We're reaching out and saying, hey, if you're hurting, please come talk to me. You want some contact information? Here's how you can get a hold of us. And the beautiful thing is, if you come into the comment section and say anything, you're going to be in very good shape. The reason is we have people from Australia. We got people from England. We got people from Scotland. We're in 26 countries already. There's always somebody awake. There's always somebody here. And if not, you head on over to YouTube, and we have the Lifeboat group. It's the Lifeboat Show group. The link is here. You can just put, ask to be added to the group, and it's another safe harbor. Yeah, we realize that that Facebook is toxic, but not where we hang out. It's not, because we have 4 very simple rules with the Lifeboat. We don't talk about politics. We don't, plain and simple, because it divides people. We don't talk about things that divides people, right? Plain and simple. I want to hear about mask versus no mask, vax versus no vax, abortion, right to life, none of it, because it doesn't affect what we're talking about. And we don't talk about things that divide us. We talk about things that bridge gaps. So there's no politics, nothing divisive. Second, we don't curse, because we're in firm belief if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. You can do whatever you want in your life. You want every other word F? Absolutely, you're right, but it's not here. So please refrain from that, right? Um, because that's pretty important to us that that there's none of that. The other thing is almost everybody here has a firm belief in God, but those gods don't all line up, and we have a great, good-sized group of atheists that don't believe in a higher power, and it's their right. And we believe you have the right to believe whatever you want. We're not going to pick on you for it. But to make sure that those things don't rear their heads, from where I'm sitting, I'm not going to talk to you about religion. And nobody in the comments section is going to say to you, if you don't pray the way I pray, you're going to hell. Or, oh, that's your religion, you're never getting to heaven. None of that flies here. We don't allow it. And although this isn't a religious channel, I'll tell you, because I'm not a hypocrite either. I'm a follower of Christ. Not going to shove it down anybody's throat. There are bigger things right now. Religion is not something you need to talk about if you can't get through the next day without sticking a needle in your arm. That's the most important thing to talk about. And when you alleviate that from your life, then love and religion and all of the important things can start taking center stage. But if you cannot get through the day without sticking needles in your arm, then there's no need to talk about anything else. No politics, no religion, no cursing. And the last rule number 4, is something that we stick to and we're very, very fond of. It's very simple, people. Mean people suck. That's the rule. Mean people suck. Because they do, we do not allow them. If you want to take a shot at somebody personally in the lifeboat, you might get a warning. Depending on how mean you were, you might not. But if you do it a second time, to be sure, you're gone. We'll just block you. And I'm not a fan of that. You don't want to block somebody that needs help. But we're not going to let negativity seep into any crack in this boat, because it will sink it. What has made this unique and what has made this fly is this is a positive oasis in a desert of hate. Social media is a place where people like to hide behind this thing and say whatever they want and just be vicious. Not here. It's not happening. Plain and simple. This is the lifeboat. So with those 4 rules in place, we welcome anybody and everybody that wants to come here and have an opportunity to try to live their best life, and we will support you. Whether you're in the life, out of the life, ready to get sober, not quite yet, not quite for a while, just keep coming back, and we will show you enough love that you will get to the point where you say, I want to quit. I had 2 people email me today that said, I've been tuning in for a month. I think now's the day. Right? How cool is that? We have a couple other things that we like to pound into everyone's mind, right? You own your past. You don't blame your drug addiction and your drug abuse on anybody else. You own it. It's me. Mea culpa. I went to prison because I robbed banks. Why did I rob banks? To get heroin. I got addicted to heroin. Whose fault's that? Mine, right? Sure, things happened in my life. It doesn't matter. It was my fault. I was the one that started to do it, and I was the one that continued to do it. So I've got to make sure that all of these things are in place. And I thought, it's going to be a daunting task. But this beautiful thing happened. The crew took ownership of the boat. The crew claims this as their own. This isn't my boat. I'm allowed to steer it. I'm allowed to film stuff. But this boat belongs to everybody listening to the sound of my voice right now. And they police the comment section. And we got haters out there, people. Every channel does. The trolls show up. What's amazing is how our crew treats the trolls. We have a phrase here, right? We hate the hate. We try not to hate the haters. If somebody is so engulfed in hate that they need to come here when people are talking about living their best lives and getting sober and spit hate out, well, then they deserve pity. Just like the addicted personality. You don't hate them because they're on drugs. L.B. Loxley, one of the great guys on this boat, one of our crewmates, had said it's like blaming a country because it has a dictator. And we love that, right? If your life has become unmanageable, it's the dictator's fault, right? We're going to hate the dictator, but that dictator is heroin or coke or meth. It's not you. I'm not going to hate the person because of that. So when the trolls show up, we don't hate the trolls. We really don't. We hate their conduct, and we'll get rid of them. But a lot of people on this boat will say a prayer for them because they need it. So that is what makes this channel unique, people. That gives you a little bit of a history. And now I'd like to kind of get to some of the things that have been said in the comment section and see if we can address some of these. Keith, who is a very, very good guy. Keith was so good to me through the time when my father died that if I live to be 200, I'm never going to forget the the strength I was able to lean on him for strength during a very, very difficult time in my life, and I got through it without using. And Keith was a great supporter during that time. I love him. But Keith said, serious question. How do I feel about someone who smokes marijuana before bed to help them sleep and manage back pain? Someone who refuses to take pain pills. Number one, I don't have a problem with anybody who smokes cannabis. I don't. It's not my place. And to be really honest with you, I don't have a problem with anybody that does alcohol. Right? These are substances that people have been using for millennia. Right? I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with addiction. If all that someone is doing is using cannabis to help with back pain before they go to bed, God bless them. It's a better choice than taking opiates every night before they go to bed. God bless them. But if that becomes an issue in their life, well, then God bless them, right? We'll do everything we can to help them get off. But if it's not an issue in their life, then it isn't even worth discussing. I'm really only trying to stress the fact that if your use of chemicals, right, has become a dictator, and your country is being destroyed because of that dictator, well, then it's time for the boat to do something. And it's time for that person, right? It's time for that country to rise up against the dictator. So if cannabis starts taking over your life or that person's life, well, then it's a problem. But if that person's smoking pot because they have back pain and they use it to get to sleep, good for you. I don't have a problem with that in any way, shape, or form. I don't have a problem with cannabis. And I know because of what I do that I'm sort of the anti-drug guy. And I know people that smoke pot and they're afraid to mention that around me. If you don't have a problem with drinking, drink, right? If you don't have a problem with cannabis, smoke. I will say this. Try to get it into your system, either vaping it or doing something else. When you light something on fire and breathe it in, it's not great for your lungs, and that would be a concern of mine. But no, I don't have any problem at all with somebody that uses cannabis as a pain medication, and I think that it has incredible properties for pain management. Now, would I do it? No, but that's me. I can't do it because I'm an addict, right? And the only thing I've ever been able to do that doesn't make me happy enough to get addicted to it is alcohol. But I can get addicted to cannabis in about 6 days. I promise you. So it's not for me, but no, I don't judge anybody for that. Keith, you have my word. And I don't think you should either. The next question. Saigon Cinnamon said, one thing I forgot before I go to bed. Are the shirts going out tomorrow? You will have the opportunity tomorrow. I will give you the link, people. It'll probably be after 3 o'clock. And you will have the link to go and order your shirts. These would be the Saigon Cinnamon shirts. And if you don't know what the Saigon Cinnamon shirt is, you should stop by our Facebook page and get a look at it. But it says Never Quit Quitting on the front of it. On the sleeve, it says the lifeboat. And right below it, it says crew. It's a very cool shirt. It is nicknamed now and will be forevermore the Saigon Cinnamon shirt, since it was a slogan that came up in the comment section, and it was something that Saigon wrote. And when I saw it, I freaked out. It was, and so did everybody else. Never quit quitting. We have put it on the when you come to the YouTube channel, it says right across it, right? Never quit quitting. People get knocked down 8 times, get up 9. Get knocked down 6 times, get up 7. Doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. It matters how many times you get back up. If you stay down the last time, you're a failure. But you're not a failure until you stay down the last time. So just never quit quitting. If it doesn't work out the first time, it might work out the second. Or it might be like me. And maybe the 2,550th time will be the magic bullet. I don't know how many times I quit. There's no way to tell because I just kept using. However, here I am. And the reason that I'm here now sober is because I never quit quitting. And it's sort of the mantra of what we do here. And just one more time, if you were listening, people, if you're using cannabis for medical reasons, or if you're using cannabis for recreational reasons, but it isn't controlling your life, I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to judge anybody. I really am not. And if you're using it and it's taken the place of opiates, if you're on long-term opiate therapy, but you could get the same relief from cannabis, you're a genius if you go the cannabis route, because it is a whole lot easier on your body. It's a whole lot easier on your mind. But I actually met Chumbawamba. You know what's funny, man? That song played, I was in a bus on the way to federal prison You know, the bus that in Fast and Furious they always manage to get the person off of when they're on their way to prison. Well, I was on that bus shackled, and the driver yelled, "You guys want to hear tunes?" And he put it on, and right as it, I mean, we didn't miss the first note. The music came on, and it was Chumbawamba, "I Get Knocked Down," and I remember looking around, and everybody just had their head down because nobody had actually been getting back up. But yeah, I think that that's always gets my heart going. There's something to that that really sort of gets my heart going. Did I just see Chili Chinglish said that he did a tube of terror the second time and succeeded? Chili, I'll tell you something, man. You are like I said, I'm not making this up. You are an inspiration. If you ever get a chance to go over there and check out Chili Chinglish's channel, he does remarkable stuff. He's a very, very interesting guy. Speaks a bunch of languages, and he's one of us, people. He's got one of the most positive attitudes of anyone you will ever meet. I mean, good stuff. I came across his channel and watched him, and I've been a huge fan ever since. Just a really, really good guy. I'm so happy you're here, man. I really am. I'm honored that you're watching the live feed. So, people, that pretty much brings us up to speed on where we were as a channel. I got to tell you a story, people, because I have vowed, very much like I've been grooving to. I missed that, but apparently Deja was grooving to something all day. I'm thinking probably candy corn. She's a big fan. I had something bizarre happen to me today, people, and very much like the Truman Show, if you do what we do and you spend a lot of time in front of the camera, you have two routes you can go. You can share your life with the crew, with the audience, or you can hide as much of it as you can. It's not. I don't know. It's not a choice for everybody. It's difficult to, hey, this candy corn happens to be caramel candy corn. Like, if you really get a look at that, see that? It's not normal. It's caramel flavor. It's absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, you're just jealous. The people, I've been very open with my my past and my life. And I'm sorry, hold on one second. Okay, sorry. So I've shared my life, and basically, when I'm having a great time, I shared it, you know, and when I'm not having a great time, I shared it. When I got that C plus 17 plus 2, I shared it, and I am always going to share it. I have talked and been very open about the fact that every woman I've ever loved, I have just about destroyed through my use of drugs and alcohol. Well, not alcohol, but drugs, especially heroin. My incessant partying, you know, was something that it didn't just cause divorces. In many cases, it really, really hurt the people that I was with. And for that reason, I don't have a great relationship with any of my exes, be they ex-wives, ex-girlfriends, whatever the case may be. And mea culpa, right? Across the board, every one of those is my fault. It's never been something that I could blame on the ladies in my life. And today, I was contacted by one of the women that I was very much in love with, and I very much damaged. And she said, "Hey, I just wanted to touch base with you." I said, "My goodness, like the last time that I spoke to this woman, it was not a particularly nice conversation. In fact, she cursed like a longshoreman at me, and she was right about everything she said, that I was the biggest dirtbag that ever lived, and how could I be the person I was, and really just, you know, sort of went to town. But then a really odd thing happened. She said to me, she asked a couple of questions about my family. She said she was sorry to hear about my father, that she really loved him, and then she said, "What you're doing with the crew is incredible." And I said, "What I'm doing with who?" She said, "The crew." I said, "Are you referring to the YouTube?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "You went and checked out the channel." Apparently, she's been on 3 or 4 live feeds that she admitted to. Who knows? Maybe there were more, but she's been on 3 or 4 live feeds that she admitted to. And in one of them, I discussed the fact that it has always been my fault, that I have destroyed relationships and just been an awful human being. And it was just really wild, people. If you had told me yesterday that this person would reach out to me and say they were proud of me, you would have been able to knock me over with a feather at the chance of any possibility of that happening. And we talked for about 15 minutes, and she asked some questions about the lifeboat, where it's going, things of that nature. And then the last things that she said was, I would love to get together and have lunch. And if she's on now, I'm not laughing at the prospect of having lunch. I'm laughing at the prospect of how far things can change if you're not in a life. You know, yesterday we talked about someone who said the disappointment in their father's eyes. If you could have seen the look in this woman's eyes the last time that I saw her, it wasn't disappointment, people. It was hate. And it was unbridled. And it was, in fact, she made a statement at one of my sentencings. Because we were no longer together, she was able to come in and do an impact statement. And I should almost drag it out. And I brought it up today in the phone call. And she said, oh, I stand by everything that I said. And I said, I don't blame you. She said, but the guy that I've been watching on this channel isn't the guy that I knew. And if you don't believe that you can become a new creation, people, then wait till Jack comes on and tells you about who I was. Because I am such a different human being today. I can say with confidence that if any one of the people on my crew met me 5 years ago, 6.5 years ago, you wouldn't have spoken to me. You wouldn't have wanted to know me. You would not have wanted to have anything to do with me, and you would have had every reason not to. If you knew the reprehensible person that I was. But to get a call from one of my exes today was just and she said, you know, do I have to worry about hearing my name on your channel? I said, absolutely not. I mean, you're going to hear the story, but I'm not going to share the name. When am I going to do a video on how I lost weight? Tell you what. Today is, I'll do it by Wednesday. I will do a video by Wednesday on my weight loss. People, if you didn't watch some of the earlier videos, I showed a picture when I was pretty close to 100 pounds heavier than I am now. When I let myself go, I let every single aspect of my life go. Spiritual, physical, all of it. And when I got it back, I got back all of it. I really did. I got into very good physical shape. I started doing yoga. I'm flexible. And I'm not bragging, people. I'm just making a statement that, that came by really quickly. I don't have the ability to read it any other place but on the screen today. I'm sorry. So I really am. But, something else I learned today, people. Do you know that you can rewatch the live stream and actually see the live chat? I was not aware of that. But apparently if you go in when you watch these again, you can actually read the live chat. It's just a feature that you have to go and set yourself. I get it set on my end, and then you can do that on your end, and you can watch all of that. And that's kind of cool because it gives you an idea of if you missed a live feed, you can go and read some of the things that were said. Which is awesome. People, we are at the top of the hour. I'm going to be keeping live feeds to an hour, except maybe one day a week. That day will probably be Saturday. Each and every Saturday for as long as I can do it, I'm going to be doing the 3 o'clock live feed. That would be 3 o'clock on the Pacific time, right? The left coast, the best coast, our coast. By doing that, we're going to give the rest of the world a chance to get on these. And we had a really good turnout on the last one, and a lot of people tuned in. So we want to make sure we're not shoving anybody out. You know what I mean? This is an inclusive boat. But we're going to keep them to an hour. And in the future, people, this is going to turn into a call-in show. It's going to be a very different setup. But we're going to make sure that what we're doing, we're looking for the way to reach the largest number of people and do it in a Grizz Cub. Tomorrow night. I will be in touch. We'll get all that set up. Can't wait. People, if you have not, tune in tomorrow. You got to hear her story, people. Tomorrow night, you got to tune in and listen to my interview with Journey, the Grizz Cub. She's one of my heroes, and it's going to be a great interview. Truthfully, one of my heroes. She's just doing some of the most amazing things. The work she's doing to help people is nothing less than awesome. So that's tomorrow night. People, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you were new here, if this is the first time that you've been on, I really want to say thank you so much for tuning in. we're going to do what we can to continue to support you and continue to get to know you. But it's just a matter of coming back and getting to know everybody here on the boat. My name is Captain Tommy Scoville. This is Lifeboat Live. Between now and the next time I see you, which will be, set your clock, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, there's something I want every one of you to do. Right? I want you to get out there and try to save somebody. Have a great night, people. I'm out of here.